You ever think everyone should just grovel below your feet because I'm the greatest being to exist, and these mongrels need to worship me as the goddess that I am? Yeah, me neither. Kukulkan, as known as the Feathered Serpent, Mesoamerican serpent deity of the Pre-Columbian Yucatec Maya. His counterparts, Quetzalcoatl to the Aztecs and the Toltecs, Cucumatz to the Quiche, and Ictla to the Gulf Coast tribes such as the Huastecs. God of knowledge, agriculture, crafts, and the arts, along with the four elements of the world, rain, wind, storms, and light. Associated with planet Venus, main deity of the Mayan pantheon, god of gods, and the one that brought the Mayan calendar to his people. What did the creator take as inspiration from his story? What do they change or improve on with his story? If I had a group of people to worship me as a goddess, would I let all that power go to my head? Yes. His name in Yucatec Maya language is spelled as Kukulkan. In Yucatec form, kuk means feather, adding the adjectival suffix ul, so kukul, leading to feathered, now combined with kan, snake, and totzilchon, giving the literal meaning, feathered snake. Speaking of which matches his physical appearance, Kukulkan is a extremely massive mix of a bird and a rattlesnake with emerald-colored feathers and wings. For that, he can fly so high in the sky that he can talk to the sun. He is considered to be a vengeful deity and prideful, but also cared for his people. Main center of the religion for Kukulkan was located in the ancient city of Chichen Itza, spreading to northern Central America, including Belize and Guatemala. It all started when the Toltec warriors of Tula arrived in the Mayan peninsula. They found the Itzas, cultured people but not prepared for war, so the Toltecs occupied their city without resistance. Kukulkan has been confused with a ruler and or priest around the 10th century, so perhaps 987 CE, and the distinction between both has become very blurred. He either came to or founded Chichen Itza, northern part of Yucatan Peninsula. He and his followers had come from the legendary city of Tula or Tolan, but some Mayan legends say that historical Kukulkan and his followers took the city by force. Wall paintings at Chichen Itza show scenes of a naval invasion and a brutal warfare don't match the story of a wise outsider bringing in peace. One source says that trade for obsidian might have been the connections of some form of interaction, high possibly that Xontan or Petun Maya merchants actively promoted the feathered serpent worshippers throughout Mesoamerica. They would speak of historical Kukulkan left in peace after bringing culture innovations and promising to one day to return. I know we're just talking about Kukulkan Mayan version, but Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl are one and the same. This displays the Toltecs and the Aztecs' influence of Quetzalcoatl for the Mayans being Kukulkan. One source points out an individual told in later Aztec traditions or from the Toltecs, Se Aklat Tosipil Quetzalcoatl, born either 935 or 947 CE, left Tolan, capital of the Toltecs, traveling to the lands of the east. Itza worship of Kukulkan was heavily influenced by the Quetzalcoatl religion of Central Mexico. Toltec influence, compared to that of the city of Tolan, now known as Tula, the Toltec capital, can be seen similar in Chichen Itza's architectural terms of layout and iconography. Kukulkan is mentioned as a historical person by Maya writers during the 16th century, but 9th century texts and art from Chichen Itza identify him not human-like. Kukulkan is depicted presiding over sacrifice scenes at Chichen Itza. It's even possible that the feathered serpent deity might have been worshipped as early as the time of the Olmecs, and the Toltecs were the ones who spread religion of Quetzalcoatl to the Mayan, then adopting their version, Kukulkan. In Mesoamerica, his serpent-like appearance, living and traveling through caves signified his connection to the underworld and above the earth. And with this ability to move between worlds, historians believe he represents the connection between gods and humanity, a messenger. The sad reality, we only know a small portion behind the myths of Kukulkan, the god one. Even scholars are uncertain if those tales that we do know resemble Quetzalcoatl. One Aztec myth about the god Quetzalcoatl had been a priest king of Tolan, but exiled by Texcaltipolca, god of night. Then another Aztec version, Quetzalcoatl had left the city, embarked on a raft made of snakes, and sailed eastwards. Some have suggested this as historical, as the East word voyage of Quetzalcoatl may correspond with the arrival of the Toltecs in the Yucatan Peninsula. Therefore, how both Kukulkan, Mayan, and Quetzalcoatl are maybe one common legend? Found two myths of God Kukulkan. Number 1, Kukulkan had flown very close to the sun and wanted to talk to it. But because of Kukulkan's pride, he burnt his tongue. Then he traveled and found Chak, Yucatec Mayan god of rain, to help him predict the rains. And with that, Kukulkan would use his tail to move the winds and clouds. Number 2, one story among the modern Yucatec Maya is about Kukulkan was a boy born as a snake. It only became obvious he grew older. He was a plump serpent. His sister cared for him in a cave, but she was unable to continue feeding him, so he flew out of his cave and into the sea, causing a huge earthquake. Kukulkan lets his sister know he is still alive. He causes earth tremors every year in July. Whether or not these stories tell whether Kukulkan was born as a human to human parents, had a human sister, only then to transform into a feathered serpent later in his life, Kukulkan became known as the god of life, rain, wind, and storms. But according to Toltec mythology, Kukulkan had required the sacrifice of human hearts. Letting his people know to subscribe to Assuming Fire's YouTube channel and follow her on Twitter if they want to avoid getting sacrificed. Kukulkan has prominent temples built after him in the Yucatan Peninsula, locations such as Chichen Itza, Uxmal, and Mayapan. The largest temple and prominent to Kukulkan is El Castillo. As one of the 7 wonders of the world, El Castillo is a 4-sided pyramid, 182 to 192 feet wide, raises to the height of 78 feet tall, or 24 meters. It has 9 platforms, representing the 9 levels of the afterlife. All 4 sides have 91 steps, making it the total of 364 steps. And then the final step, 365, sits a rectangle-shaped temple with 2 chambers on the top of the flat surface. 365 steps represents the 365 days a year. El Castillo's top platform was used as a calendar to signal the right time to plant, harvest, perform religious ceremonies in honor of Kukulkan, including performing human sacrifices. In Mesoamerican culture, the gods must be continuously fed and appeased in order for humanity to continue. At the base of the north staircase of El Castillo sits 2 colossal stone-feathered serpent heads. This architecture was far more sophisticated than other cultures during the same period. Initially, El Castillo was built as a physical calendar as it perfectly aligns with the sun. There's a legend where twice a year, when day and night are in balance, Kukulkan returns and talks to them. And that appears during the spring and fall equinox. The 91 steps on each side of El Castillo represent the number of days that separate each of the 4 phases of the annual solar cycle. El Castillo's location in angle was built and meant during the spring equinox, mid-March around the 21st, and fall equinox, mid-September around the 21st. Around 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, as the sun sets, we can see a shadow cast by the angle of the rays of the sun, along with the 9 platforms as steps, combined with the northern stairway, and most importantly, those 2 colossal feathered serpents. It helps give the silhouette illusion of what is now known as the descent of Kukulkan. One source says that El Castillo seems to be aligned with an important axis. West plane of the pyramid faces what is now called as the Saint Passage Sunset. Was El Castillo a mere accident, or was it built intentionally? Now, we introduce you a fearless king, Kukulkan, protective of his people, whom now I simp over. In this video, I will be focusing on Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Kukulkan. And when talking about him, I'll call him Marvel Kukulkan. I'll also be talking a bit about Marvel Comics Namor, real quick. Yes, in Black Panther, Namor is Kukulkan, and Namor originally is not. But Marvel Kukulkan / Namor's overall story is different than Marvel Comics Namor, so I'm treating this Namor as an entirely new thing with small tad bits of the comics. Okay? King T'Challa, king of Wakanda, died from an unspecified terminal illness. Wakanda has lost their Black Panther. Queen Ramonda confronts the rest of the world that they will never have access to their vibranium. The US was in the early stages of mining vibranium in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, when suddenly they get attacked by a group of blue-skinned, water-breathing superhumans. As soon as they jump into the ship, we can see Aztec or Mayan appearance. Finally, this is where we meet Namor, Marvel's Kukulkan, flying high in the sky after killing 2 people who tried to escape. Now the CIA believes Wakanda is responsible for the attack. Marvel Kukulkan bypasses Wakanda's advanced security and confronts both Princess Shuri and Queen Ramonda. Here he reveals his name. His people call him Kukulkan, but his enemies call him Namor. He questions both the dangers Wakanda has made for exposing vibranium to the rest of the world. Wakanda wasn't the only country to own vibranium, and Talokan was also struck by those vibranium meteorites. He finally says that Wakanda must bring Riri Williams to him before nations and governments find her and force her to build another vibranium detector, and never expose his name or about his people. We don't hear about his backstory until the failed attempt of Princess Shuri and Okoye trying to bring Riri to Wakanda for her safety. 1571 AD. In Yucatan, Spanish conquistadores arrived and brought starvation, war, and disease to Marvel Kukulkan's mother's village. Many would die. His people turned to Chak, god of rain and abundance. Chak gave their shaman a vision to find a bright blue plant sprouting out of a blue rock in an underwater cave. Consuming this would help save his people. Marvel Kukulkan's mother was pregnant of him at the time, and she refused to consume the blue plant, afraid it might affect him. The shaman would convince her, saying that Marvel Kukulkan will be the next king, meaning he was destined to be king even before he was born. Once they consumed the plant, their life and existence came to an end. The blue plant took away their ability to breathe air, but enabled the ability to draw oxygen from the water. Now forced to settle to live under the sea, away from war and disease. He was the firstborn son of Talokan. The blue plant gave him wings on his feet to fly high in the sky and pointed ears aiming towards the sky. He could breathe the air his ancestors did and draw oxygen from the water that separates him from his people, as they need water to survive. Also, his skin doesn't change when he is underwater. He is a mutant. In addition, he has superhuman longevity compared to his mother. His mother missed the life that she once knew and died of sadness. The only request from his mother was to be buried back on land. As young Marvel Kukulkan goes back to land to fulfill his mother's wish, he saw something that was difficult to bear. Spanish conquistadores enslaved people similar to his. Young Marvel Kukulkan kills the Spanish and finally places his mother to rest, only for a Spanish priest to curse Kukulkan, saying, "Un niño sin amor." The child without love. Kukulkan takes this name Namor because he doesn't have love for the surface world. This is what he needs to do in order to protect his people. Avoid history repeating itself. Only then, after Nakia managed to infiltrate Talokan, she escaped with Princess Shuri and Riri, killing one of Marvel Kukulkan's female guards. This infuriated him. He gathered his people and was ready to attack Wakanda. He infiltrates Wakanda for the second time, attacking Wakanda civilians. Now in the final battle between Marvel Kukulkan and the new Black Panther, Princess Shuri, here we learn that Marvel Kukulkan is not really all that powerful, as his strength gets weaker if he stays away from the water for too long. Princess Shuri demands that he yields, and in return, the Wakandians will keep Marvel Kukulkan and his people as a secret, away from the world, and protect them should anything happen. Marvel Kukulkan agrees, as he sees that he did lose, and in the end, it's a good proposition for him. Marvel Kukulkan, at time, wears a massive Mayan headdress with blue and light green feathers surrounding it, with a golden snake statue of a head of Kukulkan himself in his feathered serpent form with bright orange eyes in front, and or wears a golden shoulder cape that opens from the side. Marvel Kukulkan wears green boxer briefs with a golden belt, and in the center looks like a face of a snake or a serpent, wears both left and right upper and lower golden cuff arm jewelry, which I would think is either emerald or jade stone. Deeper research mentioned gold, silver, copper, bronze, obsidian, and jade being the center stone of specific jewelry Mayans used or made. A collar necklace with two-headed serpents meeting together in the center, with a large white pearl along with a smaller double strand of pearl and gold bead necklaces. He wears giant square-shaped green earrings and a green stick-looking septon jewelry. Short dark hair and brown eyes. Lastly, uses a golden spear with some green stones on it, tall as his height. Marvel Kukulkan is an anti-hero who prioritizes the safety of his people away from starvation, war, and disease, keeping their location and accessibility of vibranium anonymous. He is a man of reason, but is also confrontational. He becomes vengeful when his people get attacked, or worse. Marvel Kukulkan's abilities given to him by the blue plant are wings on his feet, giving him the ability to fly high in the sky, not only being able to breathe in the air his ancestors did, but also draw oxygen from the water. Superhuman longevity. He is also the only one whose skin does not change when he is underwater. So, how does this version of him compare to the real historical/myth Kukulkan? To do this, I'll rank the similarities from appearance, personality, story between Marvel Kukulkan, real historical/myth Kukulkan. Finally, how do the creators use this in their creative freedom? A1, what the hell is this? 2, A5. First, let's talk about real myth god Kukulkan's appearance. He is a giant feathered serpent with emerald-colored feathers and wings. We can see two similarities of his small appearance inspiration on Marvel Kukulkan being the inclusion of feather wings on his feet, giving him the ability to fly like how in the myth stories where real myth god Kukulkan can be seen flying in the sky. Also, the image of real myth god Kukulkan and Marvel Kukulkan's jewelry. Now let's talk about real historical Kukulkan's appearance. We don't have art of him, just stories that perhaps real historical Kukulkan might have been a priest and or ruler. But we do have art of ancient Mayan rulers, and Marvel Kukulkan shares those similarities, the jewelry and the clothing. My grade for this, 3 out of 5 when looking at real historical Kukulkan's human appearance. Real myth god Kukulkan's personality was known for being considered a vengeful, prideful deity, but also cared for his people as he is responsible for bringing knowledge such as math and astronomy and how to run a civilization. Marvel Kukulkan prioritizes the safety of his people away from what raised the civilization his mother once knew. A man of reason, but confrontational when his people get attacked. We don't call him a king or a general. We call him Kukulkan. His people don't only call him a god, he truly does believe himself as a god. To be fair, he did build a literal sun for his people to have under the sea. When it comes to real myth god Kukulkan and Marvel Kukulkan's personality, I feel is similar because they are known for protecting their people. Both share being vengeful. My grade for this, 4 out of 5. Comparing the lives of real historical/real myth god Kukulkan and Marvel Kukulkan, there are in no ways similar in story. However, the roles that they take for their people vary alike. Just like the myths, Kukulkan is sometimes depicted as a great warrior or a high priest to his people, or as a god, their creator. Marvel Kukulkan plays the exact same role, not the same titles, but they do the same things. However, Kukulkan was still a feathered serpent and Marvel Kukulkan is just a mutant. My grade for this, 2 out of 5. Now for my final thoughts. When I first saw the trailer, I instantly knew that they were going to include Aztec or Mayan theme, as I saw the designs of the people. It can be argued that Marvel Comics' Namor is similar to DC's Aquaman, a marine Atlantean who is a king of an underwater civilization. But with Namor's version in Wakanda Forever, I truly feel the way they went with Marvel Kukulkan's story and connecting it with the name Namor and the meaning behind of it is smart as hell. Why not change it to something entirely different while still keeping the main concepts of the character being the same? And now, the hatred for the surface world goes even deeper. Marvel Kukulkan is a king who prioritizes the safety of his people. He doesn't want history to repeat itself. That is the reason why he was frustrated confronting Queen Ramonda and Princess Shuri for the fact that their king allowed Vibranian's secret to be known by the rest of the world. This feels like the idea of how Spanish conquistadores only traveled to the New World in search of gold located in Latino America, the city of gold. It's rare, it's resourceful, it's part of their culture. Being cursed by a Spanish priest calling him El Niño Sin Amor, the child without love, and taking the name as Namor fits the narrative very well. For me, watching Marvel Kukulkan was incredible. Honestly, I'm not knowledgeable with the comics, but seeing what he represents, Mayan, Feathered Serpent God, Kukulkan, one of the biggest deities in Mayan mythology. We all have heard about Kukulkan. For me, though, it was amazing to see the roots of my home country of Mexico represented. I can't wait to see if and when Marvel Kukulkan returns and how the story would go from there. My grade for this is 4.8 out of 5. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. If you liked this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you get notifications on more myth history videos. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, remember my name is Asumi Fire. I am out like a candle. Adios!